Well, afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Bryan Air Podcast. Special guest on the show again. Well, he's actually part of the furniture. Derek Nseko, the founder and CEO of Airspace Africa. Derek, welcome.
Hey, Derek. How's it, man?
Hi, guys. A pleasure to be back. You guys have been wanting to come back for a very long time. Actually, I thought I would come back very soon after the first time I saw you guys. So, yeah, man, it's good to officially kick off 2022 with Bryan Air right now.
Great. Yeah, no, awesome to have you here, Derek. And Ryan, been a busy. We've hardly seen each other this week. It's been one of those weeks, man.
It's been hectic. It's just a complete sign of the times. I mean, over the last few weeks, we have mentioned it countless times, but we've been talking about the recovery and the rebound of aviation and business. And no doubt we're feeling it. We can see it. And to say that we've been stupid busy would be an understatement.
Yeah. No, it's been good. It's we're going to talk about it later, I guess, because the industry is kicking into gear in some respects. From a travel perspective, there's no question that things have gone up a notch. Derek, we had to talk about, as we always do, we focus quite heavily on African aviation. And over the past sort of year and a bit, we've been using a lot of your content as our news source. And a lot of the times when we've had to fact check certain things or check on certain things, you're the guy we approach. African aviation is still very much a niche market. It's not, there are not that many people around the world that talk about it. It's still relatively small, particularly in aviation terms. And you've made a career so far about writing about it and being someone that is a go-to source for information. We've all seen you on the news, and you always have not only the right things to say, but the positive things to say for African aviation. So first of all, you're a great ambassador for African aviation. But second of all, like I said, you're in this niche field. Can't always be easy. But you're pushing along. How's Airspace Africa been doing?
Yeah, thanks for the compliments there. Very generous of you, to be honest. And you're right, eh? So it's a very much a niche market. And I do feel it from a business perspective. Airspace Africa, very focused on the African aviation space. It's very different, I believe, for publishers around the world who are dealing with content and information that pretty much most of the world is interested in. So there's a very small, we all know Africa is about 3% of the global air transport market. Yeah. And the African continent already has got an information gap, and there's access to information is not that great. And I believe also just there's much fewer people trying to seek out the information on African aviation if you're to compare. Yeah, so Airspace Africa is here to bridge that gap. Yeah, but we really wish the entire world was focusing on African aviation. I think our web impressions would definitely be much better than they are right now. Yeah, but we do our best to inform the masses and to be as reliable as we can in informing everyone that's interested and for whom it's important to stay informed on matters to do with the African aviation industry. It's not easy from a business perspective. Airspace Africa is still very young. I believe it's on a very good path, trajectory in terms of growth. I'm very, very optimistic. The African aviation market is growing. There's no doubt about that. It was growing before the pandemic, and it will continue to grow after the pandemic, despite the dip. There's so many aspects of the industry still to be optimistic about. I know we've come from a period of doom and gloom. Last year, the air cargo industry in Africa grew by 30%, bigger than any region in the world. So we have We have different areas, different pockets of the industry that we can focus on and be very optimistic about the growth of the African aviation industry. We're still on our path to liberalization of the industry, the single African air transport market. That's a talking point, and it will continue to be a talking point until we fully achieve it. So that's something to be excited about and to look forward to as well. It's something personally I look at myself as an advocate for the single African air transport market, and I really want to see this come alive in my lifetime. So I'll continue to push for it as well.
Yeah, Derek, you mentioned some very interesting statistics there, and I couldn't agree more. Your idea of, or perspective rather, on how the market has changed and expanded in the last while, and with the way the African market is growing, it is expanding and growing at an alarming rate. I think almost. I think it's almost underestimated around the rest of the world how quickly African aviation is actually developing and coming out of this pandemic. We're certainly seeing it here at Simaero with the amount of training that's going on. And, a lot of the news that we pick up as well is that these airlines are not only expanding, but they're acquiring newer generation equipment as well, which is, obviously a great sign of the recovery. So no doubt it's going to filter into what you're doing and the information that you're pushing out there as well. So
keep it up, Derek. In 100%. Other words, do you think as well there's an element now? We're watching the rest of the world. I mean, a hot topic today we're going to talk about later. I mean, the tourism industry. It looks like these restrictions are being binned very, very quickly. There's lots of positivity coming out of it, but aviation can only grow at the same rate that it's allowed to. In other words, in America, we're seeing it already. Restrictions are in terms of crew availability. We've got stories about pilots at British Airways acting as cabin crew members and things like that. So it can only expand at a certain rate, whereas Africa is kind of sort of in a good position, I think, to expand. Look at South Africa alone. I mean, we can name a whole whack of pilots right now that could do with a flying job.
Oh, yeah.
And, around the rest of the world, that might not sort of be the case. So there is this opportunity for further expansion in Africa. And I think the rest of the world's going to be watching. I mean, there's no question. The manufacturers, everyone's going to be watching us quite closely. And it's an exciting time to be involved in this space that I think we're both in, Derek. I mean, we've, laid our foundation on African aviation. John made a comment here earlier, says, hey guys, good to see you all. John, another guy that, a pivotal part of the positivity coming out of Africa, and long may that continue. But when we spoke last year, you had quite nice things to say. You spoke about a lot of the highlights of 221, and maybe if you can lead into, Derek, a bit of the predictions you see for 222, because you're the expert. You know what's going on. People are talking to you behind the scenes. So all of us watching here, what's your gauge on what's going to happen this year?
Yeah, just to backtrack actually on what you just said, African aviation really is the new, it's been the new frontier for a long time. This is the place now to come and do business because the growth potential is extremely huge. And African airlines are ambitious, more ambitious than they've actually ever been. Look back at, for example, the Dubai Air Show. There's a lot of activity from Africa, so Africa was more dominant than so many other regions around the world in terms of aircraft orders. I think that just points to the future of the air transport market in Africa. A lot of African airlines are buying brand new aircraft. There's a lot of new airline startups. I think I've forgotten the last time I checked the number of AOCs just lining up just in Nigeria alone. It's a ridiculous number, that are waiting in line, So all our markets are growing and expanding. And just to talk about from the highlights point of view, obviously I did write an article at the beginning of this year just to point out some of the highlights. And the Dubai Air Show was one of those in terms of new aircraft orders and acquisitions. I think for me, that's one of the pointers. I don't have a crystal ball, But obviously, you can look at the numbers and look at the way our airlines are behaving, and you can see that at least if the market is not really projected by the experts to grow, at least there is an expectation or at least hope from the players within the African aviation industry that something is definitely coming. And if it's not coming, then they're definitely planning to force it because we're going to have the equipment. There's no doubt about it. And I think as far as Africa goes, we just need to put the right environment in place, because the players are doing their part. So from a regulatory point of view, our countries just need to come on board. We are coming from the worst crisis ever in aviation history, but you're still seeing the kind of aircraft orders that you saw last year, even coming into this year. You're still talking about new airlines that are coming up. This year, we'll have a few new airlines. Congo is not satisfied with having just one airline. They're planning to start. There's a joint venture that will come active this year, and that's one of the things that we can look out for as well. A new airline in partnership with Ethiopian Airlines. I think Ethiopian Airlines is taking up about 49%. Of course, this is in line with Ethiopian Airlines model, and you can cue in Ethiopian into the discussion now. We continue to expand, and it's quite interesting the way they view their model at the moment. Most of the airlines that they're getting into partnership with or buying into, they view them really as feeder airlines for their hub in Addis Ababa, rather than coming into these countries, into countries' national airlines to try and kind of build a hub airline in these countries. So the model is quite interesting, and it's very complementary to Ethiopian Airlines as it is right now. But I hope we can see some success stories, to be honest, even from these partnerships, because not all of them are successful. The Ethiopian Airlines partners on the African continent, but of course, Ethiopian remains the biggest and most successful airline on the continent. And just to also bring in what I just spoke about the cargo market and its growth, I mean, if I was to put a prediction as well, just looking at the growth of the cargo market, unless we are really oblivious to it as an African aviation industry, we have to see that this is now where the opportunity is. And, this is where when you hear the sounds coming from a successful airline such as Ethiopian Airlines, when they are saying, listen, the cargo sector and our cargo business is what has kept us alive through the pandemic. And, this is why we've managed to even stay in positive territory. Other airlines in Africa that have some sense in them really have to stop and listen. It's time at least to invest significantly into the cargo business. So I'd like to say that maybe we should see more airlines ordering freighters in the coming year or two, or in the coming few years. Just this past Valentine's Day, we had an article up on Airspace Africa. The Kenyan cargo industry do not have enough capacity for the flowers that had to be exported just to support the Valentine's season, the peak Valentine's season, and they had to actually grant more rights to other foreign airlines such as Qatar, including Ethiopian Airlines. So the cargo, why not? Why shouldn't we see even more dedicated cargo airlines come up? First, to start an airline today, I think I wouldn't be looking at passenger air transport. Cargo is the opportunity, so we need to add some glamour to cargo. We need to look at it as something that can keep us going and support the growth of the African aviation industry. That is where we should look at as a continent going forward.
Derek, you hit on a buzzword there earlier on. You mentioned that the African airlines are ambitious. And again, of course, I couldn't agree more, because we're seeing it with the guys that are coming through Simaero. And I want to mention one of our clients, Airpeace is one of them, an heavily expanding airline. They're growing at quite a rate of knots, and they've got quite a vast fleet. They've got 777s, 737s, Embraer 145s, E195, E2s, and they've just recently acquired A320s as well. And we see it through their crew. They're highly ambitious, and not only them, but most of the African clients that are coming through here, the pilots, their management as well, very ambitious, keen to do things right. They want to go and do training properly. You can see the direction and the push, the motivation behind these individuals is really to just get out there and go out and really compete with the rest of the world. So it's exciting to see from where we are. And then I guess also, you mentioned cargo.
Cargo's played such a key part in our conversations over the past year or so.
Astral out of Kenya are actually expanding as well, and they're quite a big cargo airline.
Not quite a big, they're massive.
They're massive. A good bunch of guys working there as well.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned flowers. I went to go and buy some roses on Valentine's Day. A bunch of roses, red roses. They wanted to grip me $600
at Woolworths
at a flower shop for a bunch of roses.
Yeah, no, a bit heavy going.
I was serious. I was a gobsmacked. I'm like, how is that possible? Yeah, I suppose it comes down to the price of flying these things around.
They're filling cargo aircraft up with these things. That's what's quite remarkable.
Yeah.
Derek, can we jump quickly? Something big happened in the States last week. There was a merger between Spirit and Frontier. They're going to become the fifth biggest carrier there in the States, which is no small feat in itself. It's going to be a massive airline. Mergers, something that's been spoken about, South African Airways and Kenyan. And do you think that this is the way forward for African aviation? I mean, do we have to rely on these mergers to create these big companies? As you've already mentioned, the capacity wasn't quite there for Kenyan, so they had to bring in Qatar, and they had to give away some of their business basically to accommodate the demand. So you don't really want to do that from a business perspective. You've got to be right sized, and you have a look at South African Airways today. It is an absolute shadow of its former self, and if they're ever going to get back to that sort of travel, what do you call it, power, they're going to need to be backed by someone quite soon, and the person that they're backed by is going to have to arrive with crew and aircraft. So is this the way forward, do you think, for African aviation mergers?
Yeah, interesting. I mean, what's happening in the States is not particularly new. It's consistent with the market dynamics in the United States. Even in Europe, consolidation is really part of the game, and it's a key part of how the market has matured over the years. And if we look at the biggest players in the United States right now, a lot of them have grown to their size through mergers. Consolidation is definitely important for the market. These airlines, they look at economies of scale. It's key for success, And even in Europe, look at the biggest airlines. The money is concentrated in a few big players. Well, the true success in the airline industry. And as we well know, in Africa, we have a ridiculously fragmented market. As I checked, there were over 200 airlines, something like that.
Yeah.
And yes, we can't all be fighting for that small pie. Yeah, that 3% of the global air transport market. We're not going to achieve it. Look at East Africa. Right now, Uganda Airlines and Rwanda, Air Tanzania, and Kenya Airways, they both want to literally be Ethiopian Airlines. They all want to be, all at the same time. And they're fighting for a very small pie, all of them. Going out to the market, buying huge aircraft. Tanzania still, even at the Dubai Air Show last year, they ordered a few aircraft, including a freighter, interestingly, a 767. That is quite interesting. And Uganda Airlines, we know they've got the only A330 800 neos on the African continent. Rwanda Air is supremely ambitious. You can tell their partnership with Qatar, is perhaps something significant that might also take them on the next level. They've got a huge partner backing them up, who is also investing in the infrastructure in the airport. So that is very interesting. But at the end of the day, yeah, like I said, we are a fragmented market. We've got too many airlines, and consolidation needs to happen for us to see success. And Ethiopian Airlines, its success is largely also down to the fact that obviously right now, by just a matter of its size, its cost base is a little bit lower than most of the African airlines. We've got a high cost environment in Africa. There's no doubt about that. We need to bring those costs down. We need to start pulling resources. So when you hear the talk from the big story from last year, South African Airways and Kenya Airways, dancing to that tune. And partnerships have been a big part of the pandemic. It's good to see that in Africa, on the level that they're at. Hopefully we can see them mature to a stronger level of partnerships, joint ventures and mergers and the like. South African Airways, Kenya Airways, it's not a merger. I think there was some stories that came out earlier this year, and both airlines were very quick to squash them. That listen, we're not trying to merge. This is just what can I call it? A glorified friendship. But yes, they are. At least their minds are in the right place. They definitely see that economies of scale are important. It's important to bring our resources together, put them in one place. And, we're both struggling. These are two struggling former giants who are desperate to find their place back in the African aviation industry. And it's good to see that they're finding synergies, now and for the future. We have Ethiopian Airlines is a behemoth of an airline right now, and it needs competition as well. We need that kind of competition in the African aviation market. So we do need one or two big airlines. Some schools of thought tell us that these mergers, and I can see the controversy coming up even with this merger between Frontier and Spirit. Some antitrust, anti-competitiveness, that it reduces competition, it drives up prices, but I don't think it's healthy for us to have only Ethiopian Airlines as this huge airline on the African continent that no one else can compete with. We need to have a few others come around and come together and form. We need more airline groups on the African continent. We've not seen that. That said, we've not had mergers historically on the African continent happen. So we are being very optimistic.
Derek, we didn't even have mergers between. I mean, Ryan and I flew for SA Express for 10 odd years.
Yeah.
We had Mango Airlines and South African Airways. They were all owned by the same group, and we were all competing with each other. So we had the opposites of this merger sort of idea. I mean, it was ridiculous. But we actually flew to all the same destinations a lot of the time. I mean, Spurries went overseas, and Mango, they still went to Cape Town, they still went to Durban. So did South African Airways. SACS even did for a period as well.
Yeah.
And so what you're saying there in the States, that just simply doesn't happen. The regionals are tied to the particular mainline carrier, which is what you see all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know. Things are obviously, it goes without saying, in the States, I'm sure, just are run better and make more sense. Africa still got to figure that out to a large degree. And my opinion of the whole SAA and Kenya Airways thing is that they're keeping each other in the friend zone.
I think it just kept a lot of people maybe it got people excited for a second there, but probably not going to happen.
I look at them as when an artist that was big, something happens, the artist probably goes to jail, like so many of them go to jail, and then his return, his comeback from jail, it's like, how can I be big again? So
the only way to do that in South Africa is to become a president.
It's like I think let me hook up with Lil Kim or something. Maybe they'll get the stories going.
No, 100% correct. Derek, like I said at the start, what Ryan and I would like to do with you is have you on the show a bit more regularly. You dive into the African aviation side, so people are going to get used to hearing and seeing your face on the show. We would like to get more people supporting and looking at Airspace Africa, because we use it, right? And every week we scouring it, and what's nice with it, it changes every day. There's always new stories coming on. Well-written aviation journalism. We made a bit of fun about that, bit of writing about
that whole student.
I mean, how pathetic can that writing be? So it's nice to actually read something where you spend a few minutes to read something and you say, well, that was well worth the time. And Derek, I mean, very, very proud to say we associated with you. So the best place for people to find that, straight to the website. What's the best option there?
Yes, definitely. Straight to the website. It's straight and simple. airspace-africa.com for your latest aviation news. But I'd advise anyone who is actually interested in staying up to date to subscribe as well. We've got a newsletter, and the post notifications are a bit paused at the moment, but they will come back very soon. So just go to airspace-africa.com/newsletter and subscribe. It's quick and easy. Just drop in your email address and press send, and then confirm through your email. It might go to spam, so you might want to check your spam if you don't see the email come through.
Cool.
Absolutely. Just to reiterate what Bryan said, I mean, we definitely use your website a whole lot because it's valuable content. And
you know what's nice with that? We don't have to try and decipher everything from African aviation. That Derek, what the hell's going on here? And now we can actually get you on. So no, awesome, Derek, man.
Believe me, it helps me as well. I don't have to look in too many places when I need to get my information. I can actually use my site now, which is actually very convenient. You can always go to the search tab and search anything, literally an airline or a keyword, and you can get everything that you want to.
Derek, a question there. We dive into quite a lot, and it's been different with you because we're both very much in the same field. But a lot of pilots have started their own businesses, and lately we've been speaking about difficulties that have come about. And I know from running this podcast with Ryan how much effort and work goes into the preparation, the setting up, but when it comes to writing something, I mean, I tried to write 1 or 2 LinkedIn articles at one stage, and it literally took me the whole day. And even at the end, I barely got any traction for it. Where this is your field. You're out there all the time, and how difficult is it to actually sit down and first of all gather the information, but then to actually put it onto the interwebs is another story altogether. I really commend you for that, because it cannot be easy.
No, it's not. It's not easy, but I feel like writing is the richest process of actually acquiring knowledge, even for yourself, because as you're looking around for the information, you're actually learning yourself, and you're taking in so much information. Yeah, putting it together is one thing, but writing and actually being happy with the way you've written is a whole other thing. I really don't know actually when I came around to see myself as a writer, because I was terrible at literature in high school. Yeah, and it's the one subject that actually gave me problems. So I really don't know when it clicked, but I started a blog. I remember starting a blog a while back, and expressing myself on my views, generally aviation and everything, all these things, sports, Formula One. I used to write all sorts of articles, and I think I built my confidence through that. Yeah, but the writing process is different for everyone. It doesn't matter how long it takes, to be honest with you, as long as you can come up with something that you're happy with.
Yeah. Derek, you gave me myself and Ryan actually, a nice piece of advice when you came to visit us at Simaero a while back. That was actually I think the day that Lyft did its launch.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
the launch of
Yes.
Lyft. I remember that.
And the one thing you said to me was, just keep doing what you're doing, because, as time goes on, you're building this proof of work, and
It's
you're
a back
building.
catalog, I think was the word that you
Yeah,
used.
back catalog is what you used. And that's, again, one of those things that at the time we really needed to hear. So thanks, Derek.
Yeah, I learned that as well from John, one of John's podcasts.
Yeah.
He was speaking to someone in Dubai, I think, and it was more about archiving. Just keep at it. 6 months down the road, when someone is checking out your work, they can see your whole process of growth as well. And guys, I mean, if you look back a month, look back 3 months, 6 months, you can see your evolution, in your space. And I think most people are afraid to start with anything because they want to see themselves as that finished product on day one. So it's not possible, and it will never happen for whatever craft, whatever you do, even if it's technical, even as a pilot or whatever. You're not going to be the greatest or the best on day one. So it's just about, with these things, it's really just about starting and letting the process happen.
Well, we love that, Derek.
Absolutely.
And that's our game. That's our MO.
I think, it can't go without saying a common connection between our three platforms has to be John Howe. What a pillar of support for both of our platforms, and he's such a good friend to all three of us. And I saw a post of his yesterday. He's actually booked his first flight out to Africa in 2 years' time. He's coming down to Nairobi next month sometime for an expo, and he's enormously excited about that. So it's great to see things happening for John as well, and getting to travel again. I know he's super excited about that.
That's
I mean, guys, I can't run out of superlatives when I start to speak about John, because I don't think I've told John this, but one of the key moments in my life, in my entire journey, aviation journey, was meeting him. He's opened so many doors for me, and I don't think I would be where I am without his generosity, without him lending everything, his network, and just being there. So I'm excited as well this year. By the way, everyone who is watching, we have AviaDev in June, the number one event in African aviation. So let's all go to Madagascar and get together as an industry. June 22nd.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Sign me up, coach. I'm keen.
Well, going back to that as well, if it wasn't for John, I wouldn't have actually met you, because the first time I heard your voice was at the gym one day, bench pressing about 350 kilos. And, I was listening to a podcast with you and John, and I thought, this guy knows what he's talking about. So John's definitely played his role in African aviation. He walks the talk, and he backs the guys that he believes in.
I unfortunately can't do it for himself, but ideally, we need to give him the AviaDev Lifetime Achievement Award for work in aviation. But he can't award himself, so
he can't do it himself.
I don't know. I might have to do it.
We make a plan there.
I think we'll make a plan. No, that's it. For someone who doesn't even live in Africa, that's it as well. It's quite something.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
Yeah, Derek, like I said at the start, not the last time you're going to be on. Thanks for joining us and having a chat about the niche market of African aviation. We're all looking forward and keen to watch this space, because it's a sleeping dragon right now, so to speak. And we're going to see a lot more of you. Thanks, Derek.
It's such a pleasure. Yeah. Listen, actually, before I leave, I wanted, since you guys are my favorite source of information from South Africa as well, what's happening with SAA? Do we know who owns SAA in 2022?
No, well, I did a bit of prep on SAA last night, and I thought, geez, maybe this is something we can bring up with you. But look,
we're talking big things. We're talking airline partnerships. We're talking mergers in quotes. And one would think that a person who has agreed to come on board would have something to say about such huge decisions that are happening.
You would think so. I mean, I read an article last night. It was a political article that went deep into it, and whether or not Minister Gordon was even allowed to announce that there was going to be this this buyout 51% by the Takatsa consortium and that, but it's nothing. We've heard nothing, Derek. You know, there's nothing. There's no indication from the guys on the ground here.
I think the plans and the intentions around the ownership and the expansion plans around SA, I guess, are about as predictable as the weather in Cape Town. You know, that changes 4 times a day. So yeah.
During interesting, that you say that actually. During the business rescue process, I got to a point where actually generally I don't write much about SAA, but it actually came from that time because this information and the facts were changing so quickly and almost like every week. You look back at what you wrote last week and you literally want to get a rubber, you know, because things just change every single month. So it's that kind of place.
Yeah, we've got used to actually having very little news come out of SAA. It's been very, very quiet. They're carrying on very quietly and doing their thing. One just would have thought that before the announcement was made, that the due diligence would have been done and the agreements would have been signed. But inevitably, that every day that passes, that looks less and less likely. And Ryan, I don't know if you want to chip in there anymore. Thanks for the curveball, Derek.
Look, I'm trying to steer away from any negative commentary. So look, I'll give the SA topic a bit of a body.
I'll tell you what, we'll talk about that one next week, Derek. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch up again soon.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Always a pleasure.
Take care, pal.
Cheers. Bye. Yeah, always nice to have Derek. He's like an old friend. Met him once here at the facility, and he's one of those cool guys.
How crazy is that? Literally, someone we've met once, and we chat like we're old friends.
Yeah.
Same with John. We've never met John in person, but
he's a real source of knowledge, Derek, and he's doing. You know, we didn't even get into it there today. We'll talk about it more and more. But he does a lot for African aviation, not just on Airspace Africa side, but he's invested quite heavily in African aviation.
Yeah.
He does a lot on the charity side. His writing is excellent, and I applaud everyone to go and check out his work. It's well worth it.
Yeah, definitely one of those individuals who's out there, doing his best to make it, and well worth the support. Huge advocates of Derek's.
So kick into another gear now. A lot of the news this week's about travel. Have you seen that?
Quite a bit.
So traveling's picking up. I mean, Botswana, fully vaccinated travelers don't have to show a negative PCR test. You can go straight in now.
Yeah.
And we're seeing these stories across the board. The UK, people have been longing to travel there. There's a lot of traveling going on. There's articles after article. And it's very, very nice to read. It gives you that sense that this is now, it's got to be behind us, Ron. It's got to be done.
It is. I certainly feel, and I know from everyone in my close circle, my mom and my wife in the charter company, the way they're seeing things change and evolve, and the bookings coming in, it's happening. It almost feels like we are back towards 2019, just about, in terms of how things are happening and how busy we are, and how positive the outlook is towards travel in this year. And I mean, particularly like now, wintertime in South Africa is a popular time for tourists to come out, and it's the best time for game viewing.
Yeah.
So the lodges and that are packing up, which is cool. It's awesome, man.
Unless you're from Qatar Airways. So how's this? I mean, they've now, they've dropped their Omicron ban on South Africans in January, but if you want to fly via Doha, you need to wear a face shield, visor, as well as a mask. Now, there were anti-vaxxers and pro-vaxxers and that. Like, I am on the side of anti-face shield.
Yeah.
I draw the line at that one.
Yeah,
you will not catch me wearing one of those things. I'll put something in my body that I don't quite know where it came from, but you're not going to catch me wearing one of those face shields.
No, listen.
But this is this sort of pathetic thing needs to stop.
So
this is what's stopping the growth going forward. It's all this nonsense. I mean, what moron came up with this rule?
No, some idiot. I mean, look, wearing a mask just on its own is too much for me. I hate it, especially in when it's hot and humid and everything. But so they want you to wear a mask and a face shield.
And a face shield if you're going via Doha.
You might as well just wear a whole flipping hazmat suit.
Oh, that face shield, I mean,
what a lot of cuck.
Wear a Schubert helmet on the plane or something. I mean, it's just ludicrous.
Yeah.
But that is one sort of negative story in a sea of really positive stuff. So
no, exactly. Okay, just Qatar doing more I don't know, damage to their own reputation again.
Treating their passengers as well as they treat their pilots.
Yeah, I couldn't have said that better.
Yeah. BA.
Yeah. Hey?
Suddenly short of cabin crew and things like that.
Offering their staff members bonuses.
Yeah.
The story goes to boost staff morale as obviously the airline picks up and more travel starts to happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting to say the least.
Yeah, we're going to see more and more of that. But I must say, for me, one of the highlights this week was just looking at the positive stuff that was coming out of the travel industry in the UK. That to me just seemed like there was a step forward to try and go back to some sort of normality. And the stories are plentiful. I mean, you can choose any news source and you'll pick up some positive news about travel on that side of the world. Switzerland as well. So
I think all the world's political heavies are more focused on what's happening in the Ukraine and watching for nuclear missiles and all that they've kind of forgotten about this virus, and people can travel as they want to now.
Yeah, just throw a war in there to get people to forget about the pandemic.
A little bit of a distraction, and off you go.
Yeah, it's done.
But it's great for us, man, and it's great for our industry and our friends out there that are lining up jobs. So more and more of our ex-colleagues are getting flying jobs again.
Yep.
So again, the whole
local and abroad.
Overseas, the whole feel amongst our peers and connections and all that is just great.
Yeah, it's a nice feeling.
Hey, I love this vibe.
So you can go to a dinner party again and actually tell the people there that you're an airline pilot and not feel like you have to crawl into a corner and hide.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and at least talk about where you're working and the adventures that you're going on, because I mean ultimately that's what pilots love to do. First of all, brag about being a pilot, and then tell everybody how cool their job is.
Yeah.
And make sure that their chums know that their job's better than everybody else's.
Yeah. Should we talk about Hong Kong?
Yeah, let's have it.
You see big companies there starting to move their people out now. Can't even deal with it anymore.
No.
I mean, the Cathay crew's still got to go back and put what are these wrist straps on that electronic tags they call it. It just seems so absurd that you've got this world that became smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah,
we're all connected electronically, but you've got this massive variance around with almost totally dropped restrictions in certain areas, and then just this complete opposite in others. It's just the most absurd thing ever.
Why is Hong Kong so behind the drag curve?
I don't know.
The government's stroking the cat.
It's so weird.
And the rest of the world is moving on. I mean, even the Aussies and the Kiwis are like, all right,
got to get on with it at some point.
So travel's going into Australia, and I mean, I thought they were like the most conservative.
Well, they were, but they had to stop at some point.
Exactly.
So I think they.
I don't know. What's it going to take for Hong Kong to see the light, man? Who knows?
Pretty weird.
But it's impacting. I mean, Cathay, I feel so bad for that airline and the crew that are there. The guys are not working under great conditions at all. And
but I mean, in addition to the transit ban from high-risk countries, it also extends its ban of all flights from 8 countries, including the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and France. The most recent member to join the full banned list is Nepal, which was added, causing a blow to those business travelers who frequent the bustling Hong Kong corridor. Yes, it just seems nuts.
That's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. Hopefully there's an end in sight for all our friends and colleagues outside of the world very soon as well.
Yeah. As you said, good news from a pilot job perspective. Southwest, they're going to hire over 1,300 pilots. Yeah, not too bad.
Not at all.
Busy times ahead in the States. It's on another level.
It's madness. Yeah. Talking about the States, can we touch on Boeing for a bit?
Yeah.
John Howell actually sent us this link a couple of days ago, and I checked it out. But there's a movie coming out on Netflix on Friday. I can't wait to watch this. But called Downfall, and one hell of an interesting movie by the looks of the trailer.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
The whole Boeing saga and the MAX issues.
Yeah, Friday.
So
not going out.
No. I think that sort of slides into the category of being an advisory. Thanks, John, for the heads up on that.
Yeah, thanks.
But yeah, looking forward to watching that.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. And I think you're going to be maybe one or two areas that you didn't quite realize, and there might be a few shocks here and there.
Sure.
Staying with the manufacturers. You know, this whole duopoly bit of science. You've got Airbus and Boeing, the two heavyweights.
Yeah. And
Airbus, obviously, for the time being, have really thumped Boeing in terms of sales, way ahead in terms of what they've sold. But now you're seeing a lot of carriers are opting for the 737 MAX. If you talk about Boeing and Airbus sales, inevitably a lot of the talk is about the A320, 321s and the 737 MAX. And a lot of carriers, Allegiant being one of them. Now, Allegiant, I've got like a bit of a fond thing for Allegiant because I went across with my old man to the States in the mid-2000s to Allegiant, because they were operating MD-80s at the time, the very, very nice MD-87s. And we went to go and have a look at a couple of them. And we were in their office, and it was, no bigger than the office we are now. Quite a, relatively small operation, small team. And they've grown and grown and grown. And they went full Airbus fleet. Obviously, the MDs were outdated.
Yeah.
Got rid of the MDs. They went full Airbus fleet, and now they've switched across to the MAX. But the reason that they've switched across to the MAX is nothing else other than the fact that Airbus have this massive backlog.
Yeah.
You can't get an Airbus right now. You can't get a 320.
Yeah.
So you're gonna put some money down to go and buy one. It's gonna take you a few years before you get one, operational. Whereas the MAX, they're available. So this is where this sort of duopoly science comes in. Those two big carriers, airlines now, Boeing are winning based on the fact that Airbus have won too much.
That's why I love this industry. I mean, things change at the drop of a hat. Yeah. Who would have thought? I mean, this whole MAX thing, not to mention the issues that Boeing had with the 787, which are still ongoing, by the way, and then the 777X, etc. It really put them on the back foot.
Yeah.
And now because of Airbus basically overselling themselves, Boeing win orders again.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I mean, Allegiant's order for 50 Boeing 737 MAXs in December. It came at a time when, in the narrow body race, 8,500 orders of the A320 Neo and A220 families. That's 8,500. Still, maintains a formidable lead over Boeing, just north of 6,100 orders for the MAX.
Crazy.
So you're going to see a few MAXs.
Yeah.
Based on the fact that they're available.
Exactly. Mark Thompson's commenting here as well. He says it's going to become a very, very big hit soon, and Boeing has got stock, so it's great to see. On Airbus, I think that A220 is going to be a very popular area. I see a lot of articles where orders for that type are soaring.
Yeah, it's a good-looking aircraft.
Yeah, because it used to be a Bombardier.
Yeah,
just saying,
throwing it out there.
Yeah.
We haven't given our advisory, though, because I've got another one.
Have you?
Yeah.
I'm keen. Hit it.
Yeah. While I'm giving it, do you mind putting some more water in my glass over there, please?
Just water.
Yeah, please.
Okay, I can do that.
So, do you follow Ryan Holiday on Instagram?
No, I don't actually.
All right. So, do you know about Stoic philosophy at all?
No.
Okay. So Derek spoke about this as well. He said, one of the things is you almost. He spoke about imposter syndrome, about the way about writing. He said he wasn't the best writer, and now suddenly he's having to write these long articles, and it's not the easiest thing in the world. So imposter syndrome is this thing where you've got this idea that you're about to be caught, that you don't really know what you're talking about, that you don't really fully understand what you're projecting. That could be in your life. It could be about a project. It could be about a job, whatever it might be. You actually mentioned it a long time ago when you started writing on LinkedIn. Yeah. You said that you actually felt like a bit of a fraud because you didn't really know what you were doing. Oh. And this is what they call imposter syndrome. Now, this is going around a lot on the internet of late. There's been a few podcasts about it. There's a lot of talk about it. But yeah, my advisory, go check out Ryan Holiday's site there or profile on Instagram. It's quite a good start. He's big into the Stoic philosophy, Marcus Aurelius and all this stuff. And he's got the what's it, Stoic wisdom per day or something. It's one little thing per day. But this imposter syndrome is a big thing. And basically it boils down to that people are not actually looking at you or questioning you whether or not you actually know what you're talking about. You know why? Because they're too involved in what's going on in their own life. They don't actually care.
Yeah.
They don't really give a stuff. No one is looking at you going, that guy shouldn't be doing that or saying this or trying that. No one cares. Everyone's too self-involved. So just go and do it. Just go and do it because no one cares. Only person that cares is you.
Exactly. Listen, I couldn't. I'm actually going to go and check it out and read a bit more into it and follow him. I know exactly what that feels like. Yeah. As you said, I went through that myself, and I think most pilots did. The guys that we were out there advocating, like, go out there, try something new. Do this, reinvent yourself, transformation, blah blah blah. Yeah. It's harder than what you think because. Again, the first thing that goes through your mind naturally as a pilot is, well, I better go and get qualified in something. Mm-hmm. But now you're too old, you don't have enough money, you got a family to take care of, you don't have enough time.
Whenever you think of going to get qualified again, it's at a time where you really need a new qualification, so you don't have excess funds to go and do it.
And now you try something, and like usually the first question is, well, what qualifies you to do this? Yeah. And people don't like it when you snap back and say, well, it's just my James Bond good looks and bulletproof job.
Yeah.
But that's a cool thing. Yeah.
So my thing is that imposter syndrome. If you feel that way, then go check it out because it's not unique to you. It's what a lot of people feel.
I'm sure a lot of guys are going through it, and very cool. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Our mates from Pilot and Sure, they've done their bit for the industry over the last year and a bit during COVID. They've been very active in the South African market here, but they do the steady climb events. They promoted businesses the same way we've tried to do. And they've also started a podcast. David LaRue's a hell of a nice guy. And he had, I think they did their first show last week.
Yes,
they've got another one on tonight. So check out their site. It's they got some live speakers tonight, and they're actually going to be live with it. So I think it's from 7 p.m. onward tonight. They actually at Rand Airport there.
That's right. Yeah, there's quite a bit of advertising going around. That huge big push. They're starting their podcast up, Speed Rally podcast.
They've got that, but he's got a few angles as well. They got the Speed Rally podcast, but then they're doing this one tonight.
Tonight's called the Safety and Success event. I think that they're promoting.
That's it.
A bunch of guest speakers, and again, obviously doing a lot more for the industry. punting and promoting as best they can. So yeah, well worth the support.
They walk the talk, those guys.
Yeah, so
they're a good bunch of guys. So go and support them. The more podcasts that are out there, the better for us anyway.
Exactly.
If you are watching now on YouTube, please make sure you are subscribed. We need to boost that a bit, and so make sure you are subscribed if you are watching now and you enjoy the show,
and hit that little bell notification as well for all the new episodes that come up. That's quite a handy little
device
as well. Just reminds you as soon as the show's coming up,
because we try and keep consistent with this 5 o'clock time slot on a Thursday, but it's not always possible with our friends at Eskom. So but that little bell helps.
No, it certainly does.
Plans for the weekend?
I'll be working.
Yeah, you're working.
Yeah. So, but that's all in aid of building up to my holiday next week.
Yeah, Ryan is taking leave. So what? We've got a show next week.
Next week?
Yeah, we're on for next week as per normal. The week after, we are taking a break for no other reason that this man over here is taking a holiday.
Yeah, sorry to ditch you for a couple of days, pal, but need this one because it's going to be the last one for a while. No, but well deserved. So we're on next week as per normal. We will aim for the Thursday 5 p.m. show. Quite a few people have been watching us. Thank you for everyone that has. John, we mentioned earlier. My father-in-law is here as well. Janet. Janet's always watching. There's my missus. John Kearney.
Yeah, John, he's stuck in a quarantine hotel somewhere, I think.
Apparently got the Rona, and Marcel Smith. And, of course, Jason.
Loyal supporters.
All the way.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us. Can't do it without you guys, and really do appreciate it. I got some nice feedback from last week's show, so thanks to the guys that got back to me for that. I do appreciate that as well.
Yeah. What sort of feedback? I know a lot of guys were...
well, some good, some not so good, but you know how it is.
I got a lot of heat for that. That's done with the frames. But,
Ryan went overboard with that. I brought my pair here today.
Can I have a look?
No, not a chance you touching these things. But yeah, I've been wearing them for a week. They're pretty cool.
They're very good. Well worth the purchase, I must say. I'm very happy with mine.
10% you get. So if you use the code Bryan Air, one word, Bryan with a Y, you'll get 10% off your purchase of Flying House. It's an awesome product. Support someone in aviation.
And you won't be disappointed.
You won't be. Ryan, I enjoyed it today.
Thanks.
It was awesome to have Derek here. He'll be back soon.
Yeah.
Everyone else?
Great weekend. Catch you next week.
Have a good one.
Ciao, ciao.
Goodbye for now.